Not yet. A month after former Assistant Attorney General Rod Rosenstein left the DOJ, the man who didn't have many public opinions now seems to have quite a few. Some of Rosenstein's remarks were in response to a CNN town hall featuring former FBI Director James Comey last Thursday, where Comey made some pretty scathing remarks about Rosenstein, understandably, since he fired him. Yesterday, Rosenstein spoke from the Greater Baltimore Committee, where he gave it right back. He was criticizing Comey's post-FBI life.
But now the former director seems to be acting as a partisan pundit, selling books and earning speaking fees while speculating about the strength of my character and the fate of my immortal soul. I kid you not. That is disappointing.
Rosenstein also said that he would have relieved Comey of his duties with the far less drama than President Trump had. So
much passive-aggressive drama going on there.
I mean, it just goes to show. I mean, I think Comey has obviously been like a flamboyant, kind of ridiculous figure since he's been fired. I totally understand. I mean,
I will say, Buck pointed out, I didn't realize that he was sending him those tweets with like him staring into the forest and like the inspirational quotes or whatever.
Yeah.
But did you watch the CNN town hall with him?
I watched parts of it.
I thought he was actually very effective, very measured, attempted to be really forthcoming and transparent. And look, obviously people on the left have a big beef with Comey too in terms of how he handled the whole Hillary Clinton thing, which some would say contributed to her losing to Donald Trump. The way he did that right at the end of the campaign, we're reopening it and then we're closing it. It was a mess.
The problem has always been the gap between what comes out of Comey's mouth and what he actually does, and the total disregard for procedure in the Hillary Clinton email case, for so many of these different actions, just blowing off the concerns of the American people whenever it comes to the spying on the Trump campaign. There's just so many. I mean, the Boy Scoutish nature to his public persona versus his actual behavior, the gap between that is just
and I think there was a sense of, with him, sort of like, I alone have to shoulder this burden and make the right call.
Which is the most anti-democratic thing that there is.
I mean, the reason that there are procedures in place is because humans are fallible. Like, so it's not up to your judgment. It's up to what is the normal thing to do in this case. What do you think of Rosenstein, though? What's your view of him?
I've always thought he's probably a tragically miscast figure who was thrown into this, didn't necessarily want to do it for political reasons, had to appoint the special counsel. I do think he made many errors along the way, including in the drafting of the original special counsel mandate, but it is interesting to watch him unchained, and I hope he continues to speak, because I want to hear some more of what he has to say.
It's been definitely a rude awakening on the Democratic side, because he was, reportedly, this was a guy who wanted to wear a wire on the president, and then he leaves and he's so, like, sort of slavishly bowing down to it, saying, thank you for your faith in supporting the rule of law. Like, you could say a lot of things about this president. I don't think supporting the rule of law is really up there on the list, especially given what was uncovered in that report.
Shades of gray in this story.
Anyway, complicated feelings on those two individuals. Here's an interesting story. A Greek billionaire and heir to one of the biggest commercial bottling companies in Europe is due in a Caribbean court today. This after he was arrested on the island of St. Kitts with more than 5,000 cannabis plants on his private jet. Alki David is the 50-year-old heir of the Leventis David Group. He claims that the plants, reportedly worth $1.3 million, were, quote, all hemp. It is believed they were linked to his medical cannabis company, Swiss X, which specializes in CBD products. CBD is the non-psychoactive compound found in hemp and cannabis, for those who do not know. The Leventis David Group runs the biggest commercial bottling plants in Europe and holds the majority share in Coca-Cola Hellenic. David's recent arrest is just the tip of an iceberg of his legal troubles, apparently. People reported that last month the billionaire paid more than $11 million in a harassment settlement after a former female employee was allegedly fired for refusing to have sex with him. Sounds like a great guy, although it is...
a pot businessman and a sexual harasser.
He's got it all. I mean, I have no problem with the pot businessman part, personally. But
Yeah, I mean,
What?
I think it's classic. A lot of these pot companies they're using CBD as a guise in order to penetrate the U.S. market.
Oh, really?
Oh, absolutely.
You're like, oh, it's just hemp.
Right.
It's just
What's going on in
CBD.
China right
We're
now?
not
There
doing
are
anything.
huge fields of cannabis being grown in China for the domestic CBD market here in the United States. If you use cannabis or CBD in China, you're going to jail. So it's there's a lot of international efforts right now in order to use our current strange obsession with CBD and with the hope of legalization,
I mean,
so
people
they can
think
all
this
cash
stuff
in on the
solves
market.
every problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's craziness. And then they'll disregard any science that shows dependence or link to mental illness. But that's time for some more.
Did your mom have a go-to like this cures everything thing when you were a kid?
She didn't actually, no. But my grandmother did.
What was it?
It's lemons.
Lemons.
Yeah, lemons.
Interesting.
Yeah.
In my family, it was Coca-Cola. It shows you how I was raised. The Swiss might be known for their famous cheese, but soon London's Victoria and Albert Museum will be home to some cheese you have to see to believe. See what we did there. The museum is currently hosting an exhibit called Food Bigger Than the Plate. According to the museum, it aims to, quote, ask how the collective choices we make can lead to a more sustainable, just, and delicious food future. So what makes these cheeses so special, Saagar? Well, they are made from bacteria that was taken from British celebrities. Gross. Yes, you feta believe it. A British museum will soon be displaying cheeses made from human bacteria. The lucky group of curd nerds, this is definitely written by Adam, 100% written by Adam, includes the great British baking show's Ruby Tando, I don't know who that is, whose bacteria will be made into Stilton, and the former bassist for the band Blur, Alex James, who will be turned into you say that Cheshire cheese? Cheshire cheese. The portion of the exhibit is called Self-Made. See what they did there. It was thought up by a biologist and smell researcher, didn't know that was a thing, and hopes to, quote, educate the public and challenge cultural squeamishness about bacteria. The bacteria is being persecuted, apparently. No word yet on when visitors to the museum can expect to see the cheeses on display. I, for one, will not be spending any of my hard-earned cheddar going to check this one out. Saagar, how about you?
That is repulsive on every level. Prince Albert would be rolling in his grave if he knew that this was happening in his country. The man was a complete visionary, and if he learned that this is what Britain and his namesake was carrying on, he would.
You think
he would
he'd be
very
horrified?
upset. He'd go right back to Germany or Saxon or whatever it was called back then.
All the important stories here on Rising. Tomorrow on Rising, one of the most influential organizations in the executive branch, former Chief Pentagon speechwriter John Gans, charts the rise of the National Security Council.
And 5G technology will revolutionize the digital age as we know it. We'll cover the debate on the infrastructure necessary to accommodate it.
Have a fabulous day, folks. We will see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.